Donald Trump may have lied one time too goddamn many. I'm going to play this clip from MSNBC, and I'm going to put two of them together because they were from two different segments. But Donald Trump may, as I indicated, have lied one time too many. Here we go.
We have pictures now just coming in of that meeting Donald Trump is holding right now at Trump Tower with a group of African American and Hispanic fellows from the Republican Leadership Institute. Again, this is happening at Trump Tower in New York. You see Ben Carson sitting aside Donald Trump. This is part of what the Trump campaign says is a new strategy to pursue minority voters. Also at that meeting, you see there his former GOP rival, now supporter, Ben Carson, Trump's new campaign CEO, Stephen Bannon.
Now, this guy is a goddamn out-and-out racist. What the hell is he doing at this meeting, and how come the black people, at a minimum, are not outraged by this guy sitting there? Now, I understand that he's Trump's CEO, but he did not need to be sitting in this meeting because he stands for everything that is anti-black. So his ass should not have been there. But let's keep going.
Who ran Breitbart News is also there, as Trump's campaign manager's new one, Kellyanne Conway, is there too. Well, today's meeting comes a day after Donald Trump's stunning reversal on that issue that's been central to his candidacy, his vow to deport the nation's 11 million undocumented immigrants. At a town hall that aired last night on Fox News, Trump talked about a process that would allow undocumented immigrants to remain and even poll the audience on what they think of the idea.
They'll pay back taxes. They have to pay taxes. There's no amnesty as such.
Bullshit. There's amnesty if you let them stay. That's amnesty.
No amnesty. Right. But we work with them. I've had very strong people come up to me, really great people come up to me, and they've said, Mr. Trump, I love you. But to take a person that's been here for 15 or 20 years and throw them and the family out, it's so tough, Mr. Trump. So who wants to work? By the way, no amnesty, no citizenship, etc. Who doesn't want them thrown out?
Now watch this crowd.
So who does not want them thrown out? Stand up.
Now, the plan Trump...
That crowd wasn't really standing up, if you notice.
Floated is almost identical to those of his former Republican presidential rivals, Marco Rubio and Jeb Bush. You may recall during the debates, Trump took special aim at Jeb Bush over immigration.
The weakest person on the stage by far on illegal immigration is Jeb Bush. They come out of an act of love, whether you like it or not. He is so weak on illegal immigration, it's laughable.
Trump's flip-flop ignited a firestorm of conservative criticism, including from one of his strongest supporters, Ann Coulter, whose new book is titled In Trump We Trust. Coulter tweeting sarcastically last night.
Yeah, and we know why she's all pissed off, because she wrote a book, and the central portion of the book dealt with getting rid of all 11 million illegal aliens. So she's pissed because her book sales are going to go down the toilet.
And I should add, it's not amnesty, it's comprehensive immigration reform. Conservative radio host Mark Levin tweeted out, Trump just adopted Jeb Bush's Gang of Eight position. Bush advisor Charlie Spice agreed, tweeting, with the path to legalization, looks like Trump finally read Jeb Bush's book. This equals his plan. And by the way, another one for you. Ohio Governor John Kasich, his strategist John Weaver wrote, who needs a policy shop when they can just flip and take John Kasich's position? NBC's Katie Tur joins us live now from Trump Tower, where that meeting with minority leaders is happening right now. So you have Trump in that meeting. Outside of the meeting, his conservative followers, at least some of them who have Twitter accounts, have expressed unhappiness with him this morning. What is the campaign saying here?
Well, the campaign doesn't believe this is a flip-flop. They believe that Donald Trump has always said he would be following the laws of this country and enforcing those laws of this country. He would only do it with more energy. We should also say that the plan does bear out some similarities to what is currently on the books, President Obama's plan as well. So it's not just other Republicans. The campaign, though, is very steadfastly saying that this is no different from anything he's been saying all along. But Tamron, I can tell you, I can't remember another time in presidential politics where a major nominee literally polls the crowd, does an applausometer to decide what his policy should be when it comes to the deportation of 11 million undocumented workers. That being said, the campaign is meeting with Hispanic and Black leaders today. They're trying to help outreach, help effectively work with those communities in order to get more votes from those communities. So far, it's not going over so well within these communities. Donald Trump is claiming that his polls among Hispanics and Blacks have gone way up, but frankly, there is no evidence that bears that out. The polling now is currently pretty low. 538 says he's the lowest rated among African Americans of any other Republican presidential candidate since 1948. Except for Barry Goldwater, who didn't support the 1964 Civil Rights Act, and except for John McCain, who was running against the first African-American President Obama. So the Trump campaign is facing a steep hill, but they're trying to make inroads wherever they can.
Well, but they're also making claims that are just factually not true. Let's start with what you said regarding the polling. He believes he can make inroads and that he can do well or is doing well in some polls, but as you pointed out in your reporting, Katie, he's not doing well in the pollings with Blacks and Hispanics. Going back to the assertion that this is not a flip-flop, we have, Donald Trump on tape, both in the debates on Morning Joe as well, talking about a deportation task force. We have him on tape saying it doesn't matter if you're a dreamer, et cetera, if you've been here 15 or 20 years, it didn't matter, that you needed to be deported and then follow the process of coming back in. So they may say it's not a flip-flop. They may also say their polls are great with Blacks and Hispanics, but there are facts to contend with here.
And that's the thing about this campaign. They've always been going up against the facts, frankly, and many times going up against what Donald Trump has said in the past, and this is just a perfect example of it. I've spoken to Donald Trump supporters, though, at rallies who tell me that they don't mind if he changes his policy plan. That's generally what we've seen throughout this campaign cycle. They truck.
Not all of his supporters are saying that. And I'm going to get to one of the supporters that wasn't saying that after this clip.
Donald Trump enough to where they don't care if he changes what he says. They believe he's going to be a good leader regardless of the specifics he puts out during this campaign. But I will be curious to see how much sway somebody like Ann Coulter or Mark Levin or potentially Rush Limbaugh, depending on what he says today regarding this matter, if they will have sway over Republican voters. Remember, Donald Trump doesn't just need to maintain his base. He's got to try and expand his base. And this is what he's doing with this moderation. But is he going to expand his base and risk losing the people that have been hardcore for him since the start?
Well, Ann Coulter can't be happy if this is the basis of her book and he changes his tune and her book is just hitting the bookshelves. She would not be happy. Also, thank you very much. Also developing at this hour.
All right, and now let me cut to this other clip. Now, Joy Reid is going to explain to us who the main Trump supporters are.
Correspondent and host of AM Joy Reid. She's been following the so-called alt-right movement. Joy, thanks for coming in today. Listen, you've got most people who would obviously say, what is the alt-right? Those who don't constantly peruse the blogs all of their lives. So explain who these people are.
Well, essentially, Tamron, the alt-right consider themselves an alternative to traditional conservatism, which they think is weak tea. Their basic belief is that white Americans need to protect themselves against multiculturalism and immigration, which they believe are essentially watering down American culture and putting white people at a disadvantage. It's interesting that the term bigot was actually written into Donald Trump's speech. It wasn't an ad-lib. And that is actually a signal from the alt-right because they do believe that the real quote-unquote racism is racism against white Americans. So they're mostly young, they're very tech-savvy, they've been connected to things like Gamergate, going after women, going after people people of color. What you're seeing happen to Leslie Jones, that's a prime example.
So what's the difference in, I guess, the alt-right and white nationalists, white supremacists, KKK? Are these all the same people, just with a different name here?
Well,
the alt-right is white supremacists 2.0.
As David Duke took the KKK and dressed it up in a suit and tie, the alt-right is also white nationalism, but they differentiate themselves in their own minds, saying, well, they are pro-white, and that they claim that that is not racism. So they are basically the next generation of what are traditionally the neo-Nazi movements, the KKK. They essentially are saying that they are a pro-white movement that wants to make America more masculine. They feel America's become too feminized. They're against interventions in foreign wars, and they peg neoconservatism as sort of a Jewish intervention in conservatism. So they are the same thing, but a new breed.
When Hillary Clinton attempts to tie Donald Trump to the alt-right, what proof does she or anyone have to point to that he has either courted these people or somehow enjoyed their attention and their support?
Well, Donald Trump, there have been several studies that have shown how many times he's retweeted neo-Nazis on social media, more than anyone else. And the only other person that's come even close is one of his two children. They tend to retweet items from neo-Nazi followers on social media. That's one thing. And then Bannon himself, who has embraced the alt-right. He said he wanted to make Breitbart.com the home of the alt-right. And remember, even before he got there, Breitbart made its name going after Shirley Sherrod, going after Acorn, trying to promote this idea of reverse racism. So it was a natural place for the alt-right to gravitate to.
Is there a leader of the alt-right movement? Is there one person other than maybe this association with the Breitbart.com and some of their people that lead this, a face for this movement?
Well, there isn't that people would really know. There are a lot of different sites. One of the earliest ones that was associated with the site was a site called VDare.com, which is named after Virginia Dare, the first white settler in Virginia. They were an early proponent of stopping non-white immigration. But there are several people associated with it who call themselves racialists.
So here we go, though. We're talking about Ann Coulter and some others who are more mainstream conservatives. If they're upset with Donald Trump opening the door potentially to new rules for immigration, not the rules they were hoping for, the alt-right who supported him, hearing that he will allow for a legal status for undocumented immigrants, I imagine a lot of fingers on Twitter directed toward him.
Yeah, absolutely. But there is a split, I think, between the main base of Donald Trump's support is in a lot of ways sort of a cult of personality. I'm not sure they can be swayed by anything that he does, but his supporters in the alt-right, who, by the way, cheered when Steve Bannon was added to that campaign. They said that their movement was becoming mainstream because of it. You will probably see some fissures there.
But listen, Donald Trump polled that audience. We know he goes onto social media and polls nicknames for people. He floats out ideas. To see him poll, I think, I'm no therapist here, some would say it's clear that he doesn't know which way to go. And if he gets enough pressure from the alt-right type people, Breitbart or whomever, he may change his mind. He doesn't have anything on paper yet.
Exactly. And he's getting a lot of pressure from doctrinaire Republicans to try to, in some ways, reach out to people of color. So he's doing this dual dance where he has the alt-right in his pocket. He wants to keep their support, but he also wants to do something to change his numbers among people of color and Latinos. You really kind of can't do both, but that is what he's trying
There's not been a person in history who's been supported by an alt-right organization and then blacks and Hispanics.
Yeah, David Duke and the African-American community and the alt-right all in one coalition would be unprecedented.
All right, thank you very much, Joyce. Good to see you.
Thank you.
All right, now this is the clip that I want to play because Donald Trump may not have a problem with most regular people. His problem may come from his own alternate right supporters. Here's a clip. Take a listen.
You know, you talk about his base, and I want to set this exchange up. A Trump supporter who called into Glenn Beck's show yesterday, and the reason that we're playing this, this is one person. We don't know his identity, but it is a part of the radio culture where people kind of wear their feelings on the sleeve and will tell you how they feel. Listen to how this Trump supporter reacted to the possibility of him transitioning or shifting. Let's play it.
As long as he does the basic things, the foundational things, which is build a wall, he's not going to have people like me coming after him. Because if he doesn't, so what he said.
So if he doesn't build a wall, like China, then he's in trouble. It's the wall that is your line. Okay.
Oh, he's in so much trouble you don't even understand the backlash
Oh, I think I
once
do.
we're so frustrated and angry and tired of all the political stuff, we're going to come after him personally. You know what I mean? We're going to get him.
I don't know what you mean. Hang on. What does that mean? Impeach him?
You know, the most peaceful way that you can get rid of a president
Is impeach him. Right?
Yes, sir. It's appealing to people who are very frustrated and angry. Their frustration and anger can only be subsided if he makes his promises true. And he has a lot on his shoulders. Maybe he himself doesn't even know how much.
Okay.
But if he doesn't come through for us, he's going to have bigger problems than what you know.
Okay, Nate.
Well, obviously,
Thank you for one of the spookiest phone calls I think I've ever received.
So
That wasn't a spooky phone call. That was Nate from Virginia basically almost saying straight out that they're going to come get Trump's ass. And they're not talking about impeachment. They're talking about coming and actually getting his ass. So, and that's one of his supporters. So now you make the call. Trump has opened a door on something that he can't close the door on. And now he's gotten his own people so inflamed that if he doesn't keep his word on deporting 11 million illegals and building a wall, he's going to have some of those possibly Second Amendment people coming after his ass.